Hey everyone, I have decided to just make some taco meat real quick, but instead of just buying the ground up beef, I'm going to ground up my own chuck roast, utilizing the metal food grinder KitchenAid attachment. So we're going to jump right in and tell you what we love about this. So I do recommend getting the metal one. They do come with a plastic one. I had a buddy that had a plastic one. It was okay, but I found out the metal one is a lot better, because what you do is you actually throw it in the freezer beforehand for a few hours. It's been setting up there for a day, but you can see here it is. You can see kind of the frost on there, but it is ready and it is attached. And not only does it come with the grinder, but you can see that it does have some sausage casing attachments as well, so you can make your own sausage. That's something I haven't done yet. Here's everything that comes in the box. It does have multiple grinding attachments in there. Again, I've only ever used the one. And then you'll see that it comes with a cleaning brush, which is really nice. It makes it very easy to clean, because there is a lot of hard pieces, a lot of multiple pieces that come out. So it is nice to have that cleaning brush. And then this is our utensil that will help me push the meat down into the grinder once I start. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. For you guys. I only put it on the lowest setting when I'm grinding the meat, and then you can just throw a bunch of the meat down in there, and you can already see that it's starting to come out. This is probably about 4.5, maybe just a little under 4.5 pounds of chuck roast. One thing I like about this is that you do get that ability to decide how much fat you want in there. So, I cut out a bunch of the fat out of the chuck roast before grinding it. We're gonna bump it up one more setting. And then you can see here's the top of it with the meat going in, and I'm gonna start pushing the meat down in there. There. And I would just keep one hand free so you can put the meat in there, the other one so you can press it in there. I usually don't do this for like taco meat, just chuck roast. One thing I love to do is, if you want to spend the money, is to do different types of burgers. So I've done brisket and ribeye burgers. I've done like a sirloin and short rib burger, which were amazing. And when you do that, you cut all the meat up, and then you can either throw the meat in there together, like kind of a mix of both cuts of meat, or you can grind everything, and then you can actually take your ground beef and just run it back through, and kind of blends everything together even more. I've also done bacon, ground up some bacon to put in the mix in with the burger as well. That was really good. But we do like this. We've had it for about 4 years now, and I've used it quite a bit. Like I said, when I'm making my own burgers, kind of fun to experiment and with some like gourmet burgers, I guess you could call it. But One of the reasons why I like the metal one is when I'm pressing the meat down in here, and, you want it to be cooler so the meat doesn't stick. But that's one thing, is like the meat doesn't really stick. With the plastic one, it tends to stick a little bit more. And then when, you're all said and done with grinding up everything, to just get some of this loaded in there real quick. All of this will unscrew and come off, and then you can take off all of the stuff inside, pull it out, and then clean it really quickly. It actually doesn't take very long to clean it. We just hand wash everything. We don't throw any of this through the dishwasher. And then we just let it air dry. Sure, my wife will speed up through this process. Me pushing all this down, just kind of want to show you guys what the finished product was and about how long it takes. It's other than freezing, the grinder itself, it's a pretty quick process. Sometimes the chuck roast, I like our local Costco or Sam's Club, the whole chuck roast be a little bit cheaper than the ground up beef, so I'll go ahead and buy just the chuck roast instead and just grind it up myself. I do notice a little bit of a difference with like the texture too when cooking with it. One thing I will add, that it does kind of make a little bit of a mess, so be aware of that you are gonna, when it's coming out of there, that it is going to kind of squirt some of the blood out, but it's easy to clean up still, and that's really the issue that I've had with it, is it makes a little bit of a mess. But you can see there that this was, like I said, right around like 4.5 pounds, maybe just a little under 4.5 pounds of chuck roast that took maybe like 5 minutes to grind up, and then I can just throw it straight into the pan and start cooking. But here is your finished product. You can see that it's actually pretty minced up, very fine. And like I said, it does, to me, I think it changes the texture a little bit after it's cooked, in a good way. I like it. But we really hope that you guys take a look at this. It's great, like I said, if you're wanting to experiment with your own burgers, if you do want to do your own sausage as well. It's something I haven't really experimented with, but highly recommend it. And if you guys have any questions, just comment down below.